Hi everyone! Today I am going to show you how to draw a rose by hand using your copic markers. And then I'm going to show you how to add a berry vine around the rose so that you can add it as a floral border to your cards. And for this card, we're going to make a thank you note, and I'm going to round the corners of my card panel. This is half the size of an A2 size card panel. So it's 2 3/4 by 4 1/4 inches. And I'm going to start with an R22 marker. This is the darkest shade we're going to use. I'm going to draw a dot and then a spiral around that dot, and that is going to make the center of our rose. Next, I'm going to take a lighter shade. I'm going to take R20, and I'm going to draw a spiral shape followed by another spiral shape, and then a whole bunch of spiral shapes that are going to encircle that spiral center. So that's really all a rose is a series of shapes that follow a spiral, and they're thin on the end and fat in the middle. And as you go outwards from the center to the edges of the rose, you're going to use lighter and lighter colors. So we started with an R22 for our center, and then for our first petals, we used an R20. And then for our second and third layer of petals, we're going to use the R30. And then when we get to the very, very outside edges, we are going to use an R00. And as you can see, all that is the rose, it's really simple. It's just a series of shapes that follow in a spiral. And then I'm going to add a little bit of shading on each of the petals. So like a little dash along the bottom using one shade darker. So if I colored a petal in with R20, I will add my shading with R22. If I colored it with R30, I'll add my shading with R20. And that's it. It's really that simple. All you have to do is draw a circle, a spiral surrounding the circle, and then some spiral shapes encircling the rose until you get to a size of a rose that you're happy with. If you want your rose to look somewhat closed, maybe you'll only put one layer of petals. If you want your rose to look very open, you'll just keep adding and adding petals until it's nice and full. And if you just wanted to do the rosebud, you would just do that little spiral center, the circle with the little spiral around it. Now we're going to draw our little floral border, and I just drew some tear-shaped leaves on either side of the rose. And then I added my vine in a little bit of a curvy pattern going up one side and then across the page towards the left. And then I just had little branches extending from either side of the vine. And then I'm just going to draw little berries attached to them. And if you want more direction on how to make the leaves and how to make the berries, I urge you to go check out my copic wreath videos where I show in depth how to make the leaves and then also how to do berries and how to shade berries. But here you'll get a sense here just by watching. And the colors that I'm using for my greens, I'm using G21 and G24, which I think are really, really nice colors for leaves. And it also matches really nicely with those R20s and R30s and R00s that we use for the rose. So our rose is sort of a peachy color. And our berries, I'm using BV31, BV34, and then C0 for the center of the berries. And I find that that gives a really, really nice light lilac shade for the berries. I think these colors would also work really, really beautifully if you wanted to add some sprigs of lilac to your little floral border as well. Some other ideas, you could add some teacup shaped flowers as well. So, or maybe a better way to say it would be some upside down heart shapes that can also make a pretty flower as well. And maybe I will try showing you some other flowers in some future videos. But for this one, I really just wanted to focus on the rose because that is the star of the show. And I just think she is so lovely. I just love those peachy colors. I think she would also look beautiful if you made her out of lilac and blue-green colors, if you mix those a little bit, because sometimes roses in nature can have different colors. I I think it would also be nice to make her a pink rose. So you could use like R81 and 83 and 85 and maybe a little 87 for the center to make a real pretty pink rose. And then I'm just adding some tiny little leaves that are just coming off of the little sprigs of vine here and there, wherever it looks like that's needed. And then I'm just going to darken up the shadows a little bit on our leaves with some G85. This I don't think you need to do. I think if you just stick with the G21 and G24, that should give you all of the shading that you need for these little vines. And now I'm going to stamp our sentiment that says thank you. This sentiment is from one of the Hero Arts monthly kits. I think it was for June or July, the Italy themed kit. And I just stamped it with some black VersaFine ink. And now I'm going to add some white gel pen accents. This is a gel pen that is at the end of its life. So the white ink that's coming out is very, very faint, which I thought worked perfect for the highlights on our rose. So I'm just adding some little white dots along the edges of the flower. I reinforce those white areas on the rose with some white highlighter as well. And then I'm just going to add a little dot in the center of each berry, just to kind of give them a little bit of a pop. And then just for some fun, I'm just adding some little dots with my R30, like on the edges of the card and near the rose. And this is just pure decoration, just to make it pretty. It's not necessary for the design. It's just a little fun. And then I'm adding some lighter dots with the R00. And that is going to do it for our thank you note. I'm going to attach the panel onto a snow cone blue base, and I also rounded the edges on our base. This is a 1/4 inch wider all around than our little thank you note. And then here is another version that I did using some turquoise colors and that same peach rose, and I just backed it with some lime green cardstock. And there you have it. So here is your hand-drawn Copic rose, everyone. I hope you give this a try. It's so much fun and you will be so proud of your results. Have a great day, and I will see you again soon in the next video.